Call Italian Village Pizza on Stil'rs game day and say, "Let's talk Stil'rs." And any size pizza is buy one, get one free. Takeout or delivery. Let's talk Stil'rs.
Huddle up, Stil'rs Nation. It's Tank and Mike for Let's Talk Stil'rs from Italian Village Pizza Trattoria here at the Waterworks Mall. You know, that Commanders game going down to Washington, Mike, scared me because Washington, D.C. people scare me. Stil'rs Nation, though, turned out. They were terrible towels, and the Commanders fans had these red hankies that did them no good at all. Your Stil'rs looked good last week.
Well, you know, that's typically what happens anywhere you go in any visiting stadium with the Stil'rs Nation. The fans kind of travel very well. You always see it with the towels, and then you hear it again in the third and fourth quarters. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There is so much to unwind from the Commanders game. First of all, I told you a couple of years ago when Andy Weidel came over from the Philadelphia Eagles, I know he's got the title of assistant GM, that this guy is a football mind and will bring you solid players. Let's talk about him right away. Super Bowl quarterback, Super Bowl winning, I think 9-time Pro Bowler, Russell Wilson, coming into his own. Now, it wasn't his very best game, but you're seeing levels of improvement every single week.
Well, yeah, you know, you started the season with Justin Fields, who brings that element with the legs and being able to run the football. However, you know, Russell Wilson brings that extra element where he gets the ball just a touch quicker, gets it out on time. If you notice the past 3 weeks, you know, all three of his starts, he started off in that series with some sort of boot to Washington. Yeah. He's a little bit of a naked, but he gets the ball out fast, get out of his hands. Yeah, the big play with Wilson, though, obviously, was to Mike Williams. Third down, they're bringing pressure. It's cover zero. That's where the veteran comes in. I think if Justin Fields is in that situation, he might turn around, backdoor, try to escape and run with it. Yeah. Maybe he might have been able to get it. But what Wilson did was by that time, get that back foot on the ground and then throw it early, get it up high with air.
The moon ball!
And trust your receiver to run underneath it and go get it. And because here's what happens. When a DB knows that your defense is bringing that zero blitz, that no safety help, he knows that ball has to come out fast. So most of them are typically playing around 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 yards, but they're squatting. They're expecting that quick game, the slant, or the quick out, or maybe a hitch. And he kind of squatted on Mike Williams. Russell Wilson put the ball up, let him run to it. And sure enough, when you get that big of a receiver, you know, now you have that threat other than George Pickens. Obviously, you've got George Pickens, but teams are going to start to focus, doubling him. With the addition of Mike Williams, you've got an extra weapon that you get that one-on-one matchup, that jump ball. It's going to be tough to stop.
Touchdown is what it was. Look, it all begins up front with the Hogs. You know, I've been a little bit hard on the Stil'rs offensive line, and rightfully so, the last couple of years. But I am loving the way this offensive line is gelling. Dan Moore, Isaac Seumalo, I love him. That guy came over from Philadelphia Eagles. He is solid. That whole left side is becoming solid. Thank goodness Zach Frazier came back last week. I'm starting to love there are a bunch of bullies up there.
Well, you know, you sit there and you talk about the O-line, but you got to include the tight ends.
Absolutely.
Into that. With Absolutely. And Washington. I mean, they are they're a valuable piece. They're an extension of the O-line. And when you can get that run game going, even if the run game is not going, the play action pass still works because you have the threat of the run.
But here's the thing, the run game is going. You know, they didn't give Najee the contract. Sorry, we're going to dangle it over here and see what kind of year you have. I mean, would you at home want to get in front of Najee Harris and try to tackle him? I mean, Najee is an incredible football player. He's having his best year to date. That offensive line is bullying people up front. The right side with Mr. Jones and McCormick, they're doing a good enough job. But once you get that offensive line solid, you now have Jaylen Warren back in the mix. He's finding his healthiness. Warren,
he got banged up a little bit this past week, but we'll see if he's available to go. He is a good 1-2 punch with Najee Harris, but Najee Harris, I mean, he's the guy that is the one that He's kind of like the Derrick Henry number 2 of the NFL. Derrick Henry, obviously,
Sorry,
like
Derrick Henry. He's the Iron Horse of Pittsburgh.
But the one thing that he's got the stiff arm, and Najee will use a stiff arm. But the one thing that Najee Harris will do that Derrick Henry won't do is Najee Harris will just jump over you.
He will jump over you. Then you get in, as Mike said, with our tight ends. Not only can they block, but now you have a valuable passing weapon. Let's say they're running the play action. Wilson can go to those shallow routes with 2 bona fide tight ends. I was high on Washington when he came out of Georgia. Matt Kennedy didn't even know what he was doing or what he had in Washington. Now Mount Washington is a threat. That leads us all to who I think one day we're all going to be in Canton, Ohio, celebrating George Pickens' induction. You played with some of the guys, the best in the league, Terrell Owens, who are like top tier receivers.
Yeah, Terrell Owens. I mean, there's quite a few guys, but the thing is like he has a catch radius where you don't have to have the perfect pass for him. If you get it in that vicinity, that combat catch, he's going to come down with it. The touchdown catch he had this past week, the way he contorted his bodies. Typically, guys that big don't have that ability to have that body control, reach back and make those catches. And then obviously, where his biggest threat is down the sideline, over the shoulder, those one-on-one jump balls. If he can learn to leave himself a little bit more sideline, though, he's going to be able to finish those catches as well.
What I really liked, and the touchdown pass was incredible. Like Mike said, his ability to contort his body is surreal at times. But his little dancing step there to make the defensive, you like that? To make the defensive backs move, man. That means he's getting comfortable and he's becoming a wizard out there. I just love it. He's becoming a complete wide receiver.
Well, the more he's able to do that, the more he's able to win those one-on-one matchups. You're going to start to see these teams start to double him, which is going to open things up even more for Freiermuth, for Washington, for the underneath passing game, even the checkdowns in the passing game. Play action pass. A lot of times, what teams do is when you as a quarterback, you come around, you do that check down. Teams will fly out of there and try to get soft because they know that's what's coming, that play action pass when you show that ball. And a lot of times the guy that opens up is the guy that you ended up faking that ball to into the flat.
I love it. We went down to Washington, a road game, and we took care of business, just like Elvis Presley, baby. TCB. Yeah, you never saw that? TCB on Elvis's? Yeah, you don't like no Elvis. All right, let's talk Stil'rs from Italian Village Pizzeria here on Route 28 Waterworks Mall. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Ravens.